Welcome back. This is called Regret-22. So this week, I've had multiple conversations with my friends, and funny enough, they've all been about the same thing: regret. The rise in this theme may in part be the very nature of entering our 27th year, having enough distance from our younger years with just enough insight into their consequences to hope things had gone differently. Of these conversations were four different friends, some working on their education, their families, their aspirations, and their interpersonal relationships. They're all unrelated to one another. They don't know each other. And they've chosen vastly different lives from one another and from me. How can we all regret our hand in the unfolding of time? Especially when it's all so different. Regret is a byproduct of self blame, and I will only refer to it this way. We do not simply wish things happened differently, but we explore our histories and our past decisions with the belief that a different choice would have or could have resulted in a more desirable outcome. We begin imagining alternatives to reality and we enter the process of counterfactual reasoning, that is, inventing outcomes that did not happen. Often, we relate to our memories this way, coding our past in the feeling of what could have been. In my four conversations, the stories, though different, were all the same. They each had pinpointed a decision or a series of decisions that sent them on their way. For some, these were smaller decisions that were impactful in their eventualities. These were decisions that snowballed, small acts that came large with time. But others made big life changes, moving cities, changing jobs before they felt they were truly ready. There were regrets about love. There were regrets about self-advocacy. All in all, we could have done better. Catch-22 is a book by Joseph Heller that took me way too long to get into, but it was good once I did. The phrase catch-22 has entered the common lexicon to describe the inescapable dilemma faced by Haller's protagonist, who wishes to be free of flying for the US Army. His only way out of flying for the US Army would be to be evaluated as unfit to fly, with sanity as the primary thing called into question. The dilemma is simple. To be unfit to fly, you must have degrading sanity, but the very act of asking for an evaluation would demonstrate the wherewithal sufficient for continued service. You see where I'm going with this? Regret is a catch-22 because your wishes to change the actions of the past are the result of the exact actions necessary for your wish to have manifested. You only regret because you have changed, learned, and earned the rewards of insight. Regret is a perverse outcome of reflection. The idea that our examination of the past is a tool for becoming better selves is only one side of looking back. When we use this process, it often creates the very suffering needed to form regrets. We hold two versions of ourselves in opposition. We punish our present self for the knowledge we have gained through the actions of the past, and we hold the past prisoner to the consequences beyond the scope of its time or place. It stays in the past. Our past is in the past. We don't know what we're going to feel in the future. So this is the dilemma. You are here and you have grown. You have changed enough to regret the past. You are now regretful of the only thing you cannot change. Though regret is not rational, it relies on rational reflection to survive, where we have adopted the changes in perspective necessary for us to recognize that things could have been handled differently, but they weren't. This is the way that you happen to find out. So you wind up with what is the most annoying feature of our existence, and that is that we will never be able to fully understand life. Our propensity to look back but live forwards is our only proof of the paradox of living and learning. That is, that we only hold the potential to gain from our lives in the very circumstances that take from it. We only learn to regret through consequences and personal development. Kierkegaard spoke of this extensively, that our inability to stop forward time from becoming backwards times leads us to an impossible predicament. Our catch-22, our regrets, our talks with our friends where we share our wishes that something had been different, that we had been different. In between the conversations I've been a part of this week, I listened to a podcast. One of the guests had spoken briefly about the need to enter the past from time to time. I want to talk about this for a minute. Now feels like the right time. The only way to resolve regret is to recognize that the past has happened and that your regret is merely evidence of said happening and also self-development, self-progress. We may become avoidant of our histories because of shame, which is different than regret, or delve too deeply into our regrets to drown in our wishes and ruminate on the past, which is nostalgia. Though regret and shame make good friends, acceptance doesn't tend to get along with either of them. Acceptance has an air of compassionate neutrality that both recognizes the depth of our consequences and the nature of our behaviors as context-based and therefore knowledge-based. To be clear, I'm saying that our acceptance comes with our recognition that we behaved with the tools that we had. And though our toolkit now has more tools, we didn't fucking have them back then, so cut yourself some slack. We are better able to accept our past actions when we don't believe that they are proof of our own insufficiencies, shame, or hindrances, regret, that derailed the ideal path of our lives. The only way through regret is by looking at the past, but as the podcast I listened to so casually stated, you can't go too deep, just enough to say that it happened. There's liberation in the process of facing the past with this view, as we no longer feel that there's a dilemma or decision to make. We have no choice but to accept the past as it was, as it brought us here. The feelings and thoughts of your present self are not going to be heard by the past. If it does not help better your life today or tomorrow, it's probably rumination, not reflection. It's not helpful to invent outcomes in our imaginations that stand no chance. We're holding ourselves between impossibilities. Catch 22s tend to come from a lack of control and a set of rules that contradict. As people operating through consciousness with no real role in designing our experiences or the human condition, I'd say we're subject to a whole lot of both. We act, we change, we regret, we want better, we look back at when it could have been better, we are upset by the opportunities that we missed. But until you develop the capacity to hone in on prophetic visions or master the science of time travel, I would say regret is going to be an annoying little fucker like all paradoxes seem to be. But I learned young to move on from the unanswerables, opt out of the question of what could have been, and use that fascination instead to ask what could be. If you don't like how regret feels now, you won't like it later either. Drop the past into the how it was bucket and thank it for getting you here. Things can be as they were when they were. There's no use for it now. Thank you. Oh, also, I keep meaning to say this in all of my videos and I keep forgetting. You can find all of these on my Substack. The link will be in the description of the video. You can read all of these in advance. These videos come out later than they're published, so you can always read them beforehand. So yeah, give it a follow. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on all of those good things like Substack and et cetera, YouTube. You know where I am right now. So this is not the end of it. This is only one fraction of what I do with my work, with my writing, with my art, all that stuff. It's everywhere. Go check it out. Bye.